Hello everyone, I am Walid and today I'll teach you some of the basic commands of Linux. So I have opened my own handwritten tutorial on right side and terminal on left side. I'll teach you mostly from the tutorial. Moreover, I will let you know some of the basic commands of Linux which you must have to know. Alright. So what I'm going to teach you today is the art of telling efficiently your operating system exactly what to do. Obviously, your operating system will not understand your language which you use on daily basis like English, Chinese, Japanese, etc. So you have to explain it what you want to do via it. So what exactly is a shell? It is an interface between you and the kernel, and some of the popular shells are bash, zsh, and fish. To start with, you must have access to a shared environment. Like if you are in Linux, just open the terminal as I have opened just over here, and if you are in Windows, you may use WSL, which is Windows subsystem for Linux. To see which shell are you in, you just have to write this and it will tell you in which shell you are in. As I am in bash, so it has told me that you are in bash. Alright, so let's make your first file in Linux. I am using Vim for now. I most probably will make a separate video on Vim. For now, for example, if you want to make a file through Vim, you just have to type Vim and then file name, let's say file.sh, and Vim has been opened. Now write whatever you want in your file. Let's say, hey, it's my first file in bash. And now your file has been created. To see the content of your file, you just have to use cat. It is a C word which is being used to see what's inside your file. You just have to write your file name and it will tell you what's inside your file. As in my file I had, hey, it's my first file, and it has told me. Also, nano has been used for file loading. For example, nano, and let's say my file name is true.sh. Now write whatever you want to write. For example, hey, it's my second file. To save your file raw nano, you just have to press Ctrl O and then enter. Now your file has been saved. To exit it and go back to the terminal, you just have to press Ctrl S. Now to verify if your file has been saved or not, let's see it, and it has given me the contents inside my file, which is, hey, it's my second file. And sometimes when you have to define your interpreter, you just have to use shebang, which is this one. I have not used it yet, but to define your interpreter, if you want to, you just have to write this at the top of your file. Moreover, as print is used in Python to print, some hint printf is used in C language. Similarly, in bash you will use echo. I will give you an example of how to use it. Let's first, I'll tell you how to manipulate your files in Linux. So to make a new folder or directory, you have to use mcdir and then name, let's say new project, and your new project name folder or directory has been created. If you want to go inside your folder, you just have to type cd and then type the name and now I am inside new project. Now ls will give you the list of all the files which are inside this folder. As for now, I have no file, so it is giving me nothing. Let's make the file using nano. Let's say file.sh, and here it's a random file. And now I have made a file in new project, and now if I use ls, it will give me the file name. Also touch, if you want to make empty files, like if you just want to define or make your file but you don't want to write any inside your file, you will use touch keyword. And it's also really important if you want to make multiple files at once. Like for example, in real world projects, what you do, you simply make first make many files and then you will use them. So touch is really helpful for that. For example, if you want to make 5 files from file 1.txt and so on to file 5.txt, you just have to simply write this, and your files has been created. Now if I see the list of my files, you can easily see that my files from file 1.txt to file 5.txt has been created, and I have made file.sh before using nano. Now to remove or delete any file, you will use rm, which is used to remove any file. For example, I want to remove file.sh. Now my file.sh has been removed. If I see, there is no file.sh. Similarly, if you want to remove some other files, for example, I have file 1.txt to file 5.txt, and you, let's say, want to remove all the files, you may write something like 1 to 5.txt, or you may write file names individually as well. Now my all the files has been removed. If I want to see the list of files, there is no one. Now if you want to remove that new project directly, you just have to go back and just have to use rmdir and then the name. Now your new project has been removed. Now if you want to go into new project, then you can easily see that no such file already has been present, because I have just removed it already. Okay. So far I have been using cd. Let's say you are in some folder or some file, let's say documents, and in that you are in, let's say, YouTube, and you want to go to your home, like you want to go in that place. Yes, does not matter you are in YouTube or something else, like in which file you are, you just want to go to home, you just simply type this command and it will leave to your home. So it's really a useful command which you may use on daily basis. Okay, so let's remake a new folder, new project. Sorry, I have just deleted it, so I have to remake it first. So new project, cd. Now I am in a new project folder, and I have no file here, as you can see. Okay, so next I have pipes. The symbol of pipe is this one, and what is used for of pipe? Pipe basically says the output of first one and passes it as the input of another one. For example, you have command 1, sorry, pipe with command 2. So what it will do, it look for the output of command 1, and whatever the output of command 1 is, it passes it as the input of command 2. And next I have the rep. What does it do? It search for that specific word or command line. For example, I have used ls pipe with the rep protect, so it will go to that files and search for the protect and will let me know about it. So it will be really helpful if you want to search something. Alright, so let's say you want to make a small file, and let's say that file is only 1 to 2 lines based, and instead of using that long methods of nano or vim, etc., you just want to save a file and its material only in 1 line. So what you will do, you will write whatever you want to write in your file using echo. For example, it is my file, and then you will simply write the file name. For example, files dot let's say txt file, and your file is being created. Now if you see, file.txt has been created, and if you want to see what's inside that file, it is same as I have written over here. So it is really important if you want to make such small file and you don't have enough time to use nano or vim or some other way. Alright, so now comes the main portion of our today lecture. I have already explained you about that it is used to visualize what's inside the file and to see the material of that file. Okay, so now let's say you have a really long file and you does not have enough time to look for the whole file, and you want to read only the first line or just the last line. So you will use head and tail. By head, let's say this one, it will print the first 2 lines of that file, and tail and array, it will print the last 3 lines of a file. For example, let's make a file of file.txt. Yeah, and I have pasted a paragraph from online. Okay, so if I see what's inside my file, it has a long paragraph, and I just want to print first 2 lines, then I will use head and to file.txt, and it will print first 2 lines. That paragraph was not long enough, that's why it gave me the whole paragraph once again. Let's say if you made another file with a long paragraph, let's say new file.txt, and as you may see, it's a long paragraph. So now if I use head and print the first line of it, sorry, it will print the first line of my file, which is new file.txt. It looks like a long line, but actually my paragraph was long enough, and since I have opened in side view and also I have literally zoomed it, that's why it is showing multiple lines, but actually it is the first line of that paragraph. Okay, now if you want to print the last line of a paragraph, you just have to write tail n1 and then file name, and it has given me the last line of that paragraph. Look, these two are not same. It is the first one and it is the last one. So head and tail are mostly used when you want to directly see first or last some lines of your long paragraphs or text. Okay, so next, if you want to copy the material or content of a file and paste it in another file, you will use CP. CP is being used to copy one file and paste it in another file. For example, let's make a new file with Vim, let's say, and name it source.txt. So let's write its data is to be on to destination. And now let's make an empty file with name let's say destination.txt. Now it's an empty file, it has no data, while source has a data. You want to copy what's inside source.txt and want to paste in destination.txt, you will simply use CP and then first file name. First of all, let me tell you that we have no data in destination.txt. As you may see, destination.txt, it is empty, while in source.txt you have this data. You want this data to go to destination.txt, you simply use CP source.txt and then destination.txt. Now if you see destination.txt, the data of source.txt has been moved to destination.txt. Now there's another command which is mv, which is being used many times. Its name is move or simply mv. So if you want to, let's say, rename your file or move your file to some other folder, for example, if you are in downloads and you want to move your data to documents, you simply use mv and then provide the path and it will give your file to that path. It is one of the most convenient methods which is being used to move your file to some other place. Okay, so as I have already told you about the rep, if you want to find some word in a file, you just simply write the rep. It is similar to search and then the word which you want to be in search in that file and then file name, and then it simply highlight that specific word with some other color. Okay, so let's suppose I want to search for, let's say, smartphones in new file.txt. So see, I have written the rep over here. And the word which I want to be in search and then the file name. It will simply points out that word with a different color, let's say smartphone, so that we then visualize the word easily. And see, I then simply see that the word which I want is in that specific line in that file. So it's really helpful in daily basis. Now moving forward, we have cut and paste. Okay, so that it is being used to set the specific part of from a file. For example, as I have used here is C5 to 10, means it will go to that file and from each line it will extract the character from position number 5 to 10 exclusively. For example, if I use it from 5 to 10 in let's suppose my new file.txt, so from each line it will go to the new file.txt, and from each line from exclusively from position 5 to 10 it has that specific words. So it is used to be that some of the specific parts from a file. Then we have paste. Okay, so on above you have used CP as well. CP is basically used to copy the whole content of a file and paste in another file. While paste is also used for the same, but it mostly used to merge two files. For example, let's say if I have a file named file4.txt and it has Ali Wali Hassan here, and then I have another file 5.txt which states the city from which Ali, Walid and Hassan are. Let's suppose Lahore, Islamabad and Karachi. Now if I see both of the files, file4.txt and file5.txt, now I want to write something like Lahore in front of Ali, Islamabad in front of Walid, Karachi in front of Hassan. So I will use the word paste. It will merge the content or material of that file. Let's say file4.txt and then file5.txt. And now you can see in front of Ali there is Lahore, in front of Walid there is Islamabad, and in front of Karachi there is Hassan. So you have now the uses of paste. Previously we have used CP, so you may have confused in that command that it do the same, but it has slightly different from paste. Paste, as you see, it merges to file, while copy is copy that file and paste it in another file. For example, if I use CP file4.txt and then file5.txt, I had Ali, Walid and Hassan in file 4 and Lahore, Islamabad and Karachi in file 5. Now if I see file5.txt, it has Ali, Walid and Hassan. It is the material of file 4. It just copied it and paste in file5.txt. It means it does not matter what is present in file5.txt. is simply copies that and paste here. So you may say the previous material of that file has been lost. So it is somehow a disadvantage of CP. Whenever you want to merge file, you must have to use paste instead of CP. It will save your file from being lost. Okay, so now you may have used Python or C or some other languages, and I am assuming you have idea of variables, etc. If you don't know, for example, I want to store some hint in a container, so I use variables for it. For example, I want to store my age, then I will use variable. For example, let's say age equals to, so I want to like store my age in the variable name age. So let's say 21, and then if I write something like age, so my age is age, so it will print my age is 21. That dollar sign is used to dereference it. See, whenever your bash see the dollar sign, it will go to the variable and see what's inside the variable. Like it has a dollar sign in age, it go to the age and see what's inside age. Now inside age is 21, and it will print my age is 21 instead of dollar age. Similarly, you can see from here to like name is equal to boolean, and I have used dollar sign over here. It will go to the variable name and see what's inside name. Now inside name is boolean, and it has print hello boolean. Okay, so in that case I have provided my age, but what if you want user to enter its age or something like that? So if you want to get input from the user, you will use read p, and let's pause, enter your age. Okay. What it will do, it will print a line into your age in front of the user, and whatever user will write, it will store that one in the variable age. For example, if user write 25, it will store 25 in age. It is simply as 25. Okay, and whenever somebody try to print it, let's pause by this, your your age is age, so it will print 25. Like it uses the same concept of dereference operator. It will go to the variable age, see what's inside it, as inside the age is 25. It's a user level input, so it will print your age is simply 25. I have had an example here is enter your city. It will say whatever user write in the variable city. For example, user write Lahore, and then whenever he will try to print it, it will let you live in Lahore. Okay, so right after it, I have already explained you this. Like if you want to save something in a file, you may simply use echo and the material of the file, and you may use single or double variable operators, and then simply the file name. It will save that material in that file. Okay, so now let's finally write a program in bash. So this program will print positive numbers if the number is positive or greater than 0, and will print negative number in case of negative, and will print 0 elsewhere. So let's make a file using vim. Let's say vim num.sh. Note that all the bash file ended with .sh, as you may have noticed that in Python files ended with .py, in C language files end with .c, while in bash the files ended with .sh. Okay, so let's write its simple function. Read p, enter a number, So it will create input from the user. It will print the line, enter the number in front of a user, and whatever user will write, it will store that one in the variable num. Then if that number, so it will simply see what's inside the number using dollar operator or lead reference operator, and if that is greater than 0, then it will simply print it's a positive number. Otherwise, if that number is let's say negative, so then in that case it will print it's a negative. And else, obviously, if a number is neither positive nor negative, it is a 0 number, so it will simply print it's 0. And fi is used to end the loop. Okay, so now if I save my file, now to run any file you have to use bash. Bash is being used to run any file in bash, and then simply write the file name. Okay, so as I have already told you, it will ask for an input from a user. For example, I write any number, like let's say -45. It will store that number inside num variable, and then it will see if a number is positive, negative, or 0. So I just had a small program. Let's rerun it. Okay, so it asks for me for a number. Let's say I enter -45. It is printing it's a negative number. Let's say I enter 0, then it should print it's a 0. And if I enter a positive number, then it is printing it's a positive number. So it is same as you use if and else conditions in some other languages like Python, etc. Just the syntax is slightly different from some other languages. It has its own syntax in bash. Now there are many useful comparison operators in Linux or bash, which I have made a table of them. Although there are too much operators, but I have mentioned only the ones which you may use most of your time. So it's really useful if you read these operators. I have already used these two in about program, and similarly for the rest of your journey you may be using multiple operators. For example, LE for lesson or equal, EQ for equal numbers, NE for not equal numbers, and so on. Now I have explained you about if-else conditions. Now let me explain you what are loops and how you write loops in bash. So you may already familiar with loops. If you want to print a line, let's say multiple times, you will use loops. For example, here in this example, if you want to print numbers from 1 to 5, you will simply store that 1 to 5 indexing a variable I, and then dereference this variable I using $sign multiple times from 1 to 5, and it will print number from 1 to 5. Let's say I made a file name, let's suppose loop example.sh, and in that file I write a simple for loop for I in let's suppose 1 to 10, and then you will write do as a keyword. Then simply you will write whatever you want to do. Let's say you want to print number dereference, sorry. So it will simply dereference that I each time from 1 to 10 and print number, and that number like number 1, number 2, number 3 and so on to number 10, and then at the end you simply write done, and then save your file and exit. Now if you want to see what's inside your file, if it really works or not, you simply run it, and it should print number from 1 to 10, and as it is, it has printed numbers from number 1, 2 and so on to number 10. So here loops have been used. Now there are also multiple examples. It was just a simplest example of loop of printing numbers from 1 to 10. Now if you want some other examples, let's say you want to see the file with .txt extension, so you simply do a for loop like for file in .txt, and as soon as he find the file with .txt at the end, it will simply print found file and that file name. So here you will simply get the file name of with .txt extension. You don't have to search for long time. For example, if there are like 500 files in a folder and you want to see just only the files with .txt extension, and if you simply do a for loop, you will simply see those files with .txt extension, and it will make your work easier. Now there's another example of printing a table of 2. Let's say 2 power 0 is 1, 2 power 1 is 2, 2 power 2 is 4, 2 power 3 is 8 and so on to 2 power 5, and it has written a table in for loop. The I is the variable which stores the number from 0 to 5. That number is the power of 2. It simply takes the power of 2 and dereference it. Dereference basically writes here the value of I from 0 to 5 in each iteration. For example, in first one, as I is equal to 0, it will simply print 2 power I, which is equal to 1, and in other line, as I is equal to 1, it will simply print 2 power I, which is 2 and so on till 2 power 5, which is healthy 2, and at the end it simply prints it. As a result, you have seen the powers of 2 from 0 to 5. So it was examples of for loop that I have given. Loops are also of while loop which is for the same purpose as for loop does. Let's take an example of while loop. For example, you have to print from 1 to 5, like you have to count something till 5, then you simply write a program in using while loop, in which you will initiate the variable, let's say count with 1, and you want to load till 5, so you will use less than equal to. Like whenever count is less than or equal to 5, means 1, 2, 3, 4 or 5, then it will execute, otherwise it will end the loop. So the while simply shows if it is 1, if it is 5 or less than equal to 5, it will enter in do, in which it will simply dereference the round variable and increment the round variable with 1. So that round plus plus is simply equal to round equals round plus 1. So it will increment the value of round by 1 in each item. For instance, if I write this program in a file, let's say while example.sh. So in that file, I just initiate round, let's say by 1, and then we'll use a while loop in which I dereference the round, and for example I want to round till 99. So I will simply write 99. It will see for 1 less than equal to 99, and it will print, let's say, so round here is and then you simply increment that value by round plus plus, and then you must have to write done in the last. Now if you save it and exit it, and if you run it, you will see it will print round from 1 till 99. So if you run it, it should print round value from 1 to 99, and here it is, like value of round here is 99. It started from 1 and so on to 99. Now let me review an example of for the same but with for loop. Here we have used while loop, but what about for loop? So if I write let's say for example .sh, you simply have to write for I is a variable which we use to reference it, let's say from 1 till I less than equal to 99, and then I is being incremented each time. So whatever you want to do from it, you will simply write that one inside do while do then body. So whatever you want to do with it, you simply write within do and then body. For example, I have to print its value is $I. So I have written inside done, and but I will range from 1 to 99. So let's see if it works. So if you simply run it, you should get numbers from 1 to 99, and here these are. Its value is 99 starting from 1. So in short, you may use while or may use for. There are some concepts in which there is only while loop should be used, and there is something in which there should be only for loop is being used. I will tell you later on, but for now, for most of the hints, both of for or while loop can be used. and I have just given you with an example of it. Okay, so now functions. In simple terms, what functions are, let's say you are writing a program and you want to say like welcome and welcome Walid, let's say. So instead of writing that line every time in a program, you will simply write a function, means you will write it only one time, and then whenever you will call the function inside that program, it will print that value. Let me explain you with a really simple example. For example, let's say we have made a function hence.sh, and you write a function name with let's say hence. Okay, so let's say you want to write this long line each time in your program. Hey, like, thank you so much for visiting us. Instead of writing this long line every time, what you do, you simply write a function out of it, and whenever you call that function, for example 3 times hence, then that line will be printed. Let's say if I run it, so you see I just solved that function 3 times, and instead of writing whole line, I just use the function, and in the output I have wrote that line multiple times. So functions in simple words will save your time a lot. For example, if you are making a really long application, so in that case functions are really helpful for you. So there are also multiple examples of functions and all the other stuff which I will try to cover in another video. Okay, so it has not over yet. We are going to make a mini project which you will love it. So first of all, let's make a file with mini photos.sh. Okay, so I have just made a project for basically for teachers of secure or storage level. So it started with a Shebang operator. It basically, I have as I said earlier, it is a Shebang operator which tells you where you are. Then it basically ensures that your file exists or not. Then basically we have 5 possibilities. Whenever you will run this project, you will get 5 possibilities. Like, you may either add a new student, like you add a new student in which you will add his name and his marks. Then view all students. For example, let's suppose if there is a class of 50 students, then you will view all the students' name and their marks. Then you can search student by his name or average marks, and then if you don't want to do anything, you simply show exit the program. Okay, as I have told you earlier that we use read for if we want to set input from a user. So let's say we have 5 choices and we want to ask user tell me the number of choice which you want to proceed, and user will enter his choice number, and we will save that choice number in the variable choice. Then we have used the case statement here, which is for every choice of all the 5. For example, in first one we have to add a new student. Okay, so to add a new student, obviously it will be added by user. The user, or you say your teacher, will tell the name of the student in March. So we have used read p, which is used when you want to get input from a user. So first of all, we will ask the student name and then his marks, and then we will dereference it, like the name and marks, and store in a file, and just simply show the user that return has been added successfully. Then secondly, if he wants to view all the students, then simply we will print the content or material of that file over here. Thirdly, if he want to search student by name, then we will ask him to write his name, and then as I have said earlier, that keyword rep is being used to search something, so we will use it and to find for specific student in file. Obviously we have to dereference the file first. Now the fourth and last one is if he want to see the average marks of a student. Basically average marks is of the whole class. For example, if there are 50 students in a class, so it will average down the marks of all the 50 students and show it to the user. So for it we have used round variable and average. So it's like an assignment to you. I am not going to explain this part. I have explained all the hints like loops, conditions, variables, functions, etc., and you have to write this for one. I am not showing you the complete short. You have to write that for one, and in the last, if you want to exit, you will simply use break. It is a keyword which will exit your program. So let's run it and see if it works or not. Okay, so to run, as usual, we will use bash and then name of the project. Okay, so it is asking me to enter my choice. For example, I want to add a new student, so I will simply press 1, and then it asks me to add name of the student. Let's say the student name is John, and his marks, let's say his marks are 89, and then its return has been added successfully. Now if I want to view let's first add another student. So now new student is, let's suppose, Ali, and his marks are, let's say, 79. Now if I want to view all the students, I just row it 2, and it will show me that Ali has 90, John has 89, Ali has 79. This Ali I have added earlier, so that's why it is showing. So for now I have added John, whose marks are 89, and Ali, whose marks are 79. Now if I want to search student by his name, I will go with help one, and let's suppose if I want to search for John, it will send me the marks of John, which are 89. And now time for average marks, which will basically sum all of 30 and divided by 30. So if I go with option number 4, it will showing me average marks, which are 86. Now if I want to exit it, I simply press 5, and I have exited, and it has shown me goodbye. So far I have explained you basic and most useful commands in Linux and Bash. I have explained you some of the advanced concepts like loops, functions, and if and else conditions, variables, etc., and have explained you about comparison operators, which you will mostly use in your daily basis as well. So that's all from my side. I hopefully will try to make another video on Linux in which I will share some of the advanced commands. For now, I hope you have liked my video and loved watching it. Thank you so much for your time.